Hello, and welcome to the Comic Book Communicast, the official podcast of the Google Plus comic book community. This is issue number 37 for the week of June 4th, 2014. I'm Justin Beeson. I'm joined by co-host Paul Christopher.
Good evening, everybody.
Sarah Evans.
Hey.
And Aaron Travis.
Hello.
Every episode, each of us talks about the comic that was the top of our read pile for the week, and later we'll go over some of this week's news. We had to skip last week because of some scheduling conflicts, so we'll also be going over a couple things from last week as well. So let's get right into it. Paul, what was your pick for this week?
My pick this week was, what the hell was my pick this week? Oh,
The Wake.
Yes, The Wake, issue number 9. Scott Snyder and who did the art for this issue? Sorry.
Sean Murphy.
Sean Murphy, as always.
Yep.
Okay. So Scott Snyder, Sean Murphy. We've been talking about this since issue number 1, and we're almost done. This issue takes a 3-month jump from the last issue. And they give us a kind of a glimpse at what they were doing during those 3 months, and quite frankly, I would like to see a spin-off series that just covers that 3 months, because it looks like they had some pretty interesting adventures. But this is the penultimate issue. One more issue left, and this left us on a pretty big cliffhanger because I don't want to say it, but yeah, it's. I'm on the edge of my seat, waiting to see what happens next. This series has never been bad. It's never been a dull moment. There's never been a bad issue. There's never been a mediocre issue. This has just been an incredible series. And if you've been waiting for it to come out in the collected version, then you shouldn't have to wait too much longer. So that is The Wake.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite run or whatever since the initial Thor God of Thunder arc. This is definitely I think this year it's definitely the best so far.
Yeah, I would definitely say out of limited, nothing's gonna top Saga for me anytime soon. But as far as limited, there's just no question, and this is definitely in my top 5 period of stories ever. This is an incredible story. I would love to see this come out on HBO or something. It's just a 10-part mini-series. Don't try and make a full-blown series out of it, but just do a 10-part mini-series. I think they could pull that off. It would be incredible.
It would be crazy. I was talking to you before the show, and I hope at some point down the road that Snyder and Sean Murphy revisit this and fill in some of those blanks from their 3 months on their ship.
Yeah, exactly. I think they could do a whole second miniseries just on that.
Definitely.
I would be happy.
All right, so that was The Wake. Sarah, what was your pick this week?
My pick was Loki, Agent of Asgard, number 5. It seems like the culmination of a story arc. I haven't been reading this one religiously so far, so I kind of had to catch up from the little preamble at the beginning. Oh, sorry. The story is by Al Ewing, and the pretty impressive, actually, I'm enjoying it. The Marcus Toe style sort of art is by Lee Garbett. And it seems to be, like I said, wrapping up a story arc where Loki kind of is figuring out that he's being played by the All-Mother who hired him to do certain unscrupulous things for them in order to obliterate his past crimes, because this incarnation of Loki wants a clean slate. And as it turns out, it's been revealed a few issues past, there's a more iconic 60s and 70s-ish kind of skulking, middle-aged, creepy incarnation of Loki that is also working for the All-Mother towards her endgame, basically. And cute teenage Loki has been played this whole time. But yeah, no, it's kind of interesting. I wouldn't call it the most exciting thing I've ever read. It's lots of sneaking around and espionage and swords and sorcery, but I mean, what do you expect from an Asgard-themed series? But I'm really enjoying the art. I like the writing. I like Loki, how he's being written, or Teen Loki, I guess. I mean, there's Child Loki and Loki, so what do you call this Loki? I don't know, young adult Loki. I like how he interacts with the other characters, and I like some of the new characters she's created, like Verity, who is a human girl who can see through lies, which comes in real handy with the type of crowd she's running with in this series. But no, it's a good read. It's entertaining. I would recommend it. Gonna see if it starts to pick up after this, because it looks like I said, the story arc's wrapping up. Loki's figured out what's going on, and it looks like there's going to be a bit of an original Sin tie-in pending soon, possibly with the rumors that Thor and Loki's long-lost sister might be confirmed.
Yeah, pretty sure. I think they already spoiled that.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been following Original Sin too closely, but there's definitely, it looks like there's going to be a tie-in from the phrasing, the way this issue ended, back to his original sins or something. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, I really liked they had the little like mini story in one of those .1 anthologies, and then I read the first issue of it. And yeah, it was fun. It was all right, but didn't really catch me. Are you going to continue reading it, or you think you'll just keep kind of dipping in every once in a while?
Well, just because I really like the idea. I mean, this is from my wife's pull box, not mine, because I didn't have anything this week, and we're distributing who pulls what, so it's to save money. But if I'm not the one paying for this, then yes, I will continue to read it. And if I was the one paying for it, then yeah, I'd give it a few more issues anyway, just because it looks like things might be about to pick up in an interesting sort of way. So I'll see what the next story arc looks like.
Cool.
Don't worry, later on, Sarah, I will give you 2 new comics to start adding to your pull box so that you'll have this week covered.
Oh, okay. Can't wait.
All right. Aaron, what was your pick this week?
My pick was Big Trouble in Little China. It was done by... It actually, on the cover, it says it's written by John Carpenter, but it's not written by John Carpenter. It was originally written by John Carpenter. The comic's written by Eric Powell, and the art's Brian Churilla. And it's kind of exactly what I expected. It's your standard intellectual property sequel of a movie that didn't need a sequel. Yeah, really didn't. It's they try and make the movie over again. It's obvious they're trying to make the movie over again because they have all the plot points in it. It starts from the end of the movie where the big demon it pops out of the back of the Pork Chop Express. Basically, you find out like 2 pages in that he's attached to why the hell did I just forget his name? To Jack Burton, Jesus, because he killed Lopan, and it's kind of this funny buddy comedy kind of a thing, but then they bring out the Wing Kong and the Ching Sangs or whatever the hell they called them at this fight in Wang's wedding, and yeah, it's just silly. It's just they're trying to make the movie over again. Even at the end of it, they even have this guy who's supposed to be Lopan. It's his disciple, and he has this epic magic fight, just like Egg Shen had with Lopan at the end of Big Trouble in Little China. Kind of not worth it. The art looks like it looks like one of those really bad movie adaptations in Mad Magazine. So everybody just kind of looks like a silly caricature. But I guess that's kind of where you have to go with this. I mean, I got it just to see what it was. Big Trouble in Little China. They did their job. I bought it because of the name. I bought it for Jack Burton, and I probably won't buy it again.
But now I want to see the movie again.
Exactly. If nothing else, it made me want to watch the taste of it out of my mouth out of my mind with the actual movie.
Well, just even seeing that they were doing a comic made me want to go watch the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I figured I had to take the bullet for somebody, for the people out there that would buy it because it was Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah,
now
true.
You don't have to watch it. Now you don't have to read it. Don't waste your money. It was $4. Don't waste your $4. Buy something good.
They just go back and watch the movie.
And buy the movie for $4.
Yeah.
Aaron
Definitely.
seems to have taken it upon himself to hit all the bad comics. Like he's buying all the horrible comics so that we don't have to.
Well, he's a lot more adventurous than all of us. He picks up stuff that we all stick with the books that we're already reading. Aaron goes off on tangents.
It was Big Trouble in Little China. I had to read it.
Yeah.
I had to. I mean, and I was not surprised. I was not disappointed, but yeah, it gave me exactly what I expected.
All right. Who do you remember who put that out? Like what publisher?
Boom. It was Boom. Yeah.
Their licensed stuff is usually pretty good, so that's a bummer.
Well, I was reading Nightbreed for last week, which I guess we'll talk about later, which actually was quality. So.
Cool. So my pick for this week is Action Comics number 32. This is part of the Superman Doomed storyline. Now, I thought this was just going to be like a 6-issue crossover thing, but apparently this thing's going all the way until August. It's like a Scott Snyder type event where there's storylines within storylines. So the first section called Infected just ended, and then this one starts a new section. So basically the premise of this is that Doomsday comes back, but it's like a more powerful Doomsday. So he basically has like a death field around him and kills anything that's even near him. Trees, bugs, people. And in the first, it starts off with like a one-shot Superman Doomed, and Superman comes in and he just rips him in half and kills him. So that was a little shocking. But then what you find out throughout the crossover is that Superman, in order to prevent anybody else from getting hurt, when he killed Doomsday spat out spores or dust or whatever, and Superman breathed it all in. So now he's slowly turning in to Doomsday. So basically the series has just been about him trying to fight it, and he's got this rage in him, and he's accidentally destroyed some stuff that he didn't mean to. And it's been actually pretty solid, besides the last issue, which was Superman number 31 by Lobdell, which kind of fell flat, but that was to be expected. And luckily, that's his only issue of this whole crossover, which is awesome. So basically, it's going to be just Action Comics and Superman, Wonder Woman, and then there's one Supergirl issue, because I guess the Red Lanterns and Supergirl come in at some point in the future. So yeah, this issue is Action Comics, and this is the highlight of the whole Superman line. You have Greg Pak and Aaron Cooter? Yeah, Aaron Cooter doing on art, who, I mean, he's pretty much typical superhero style art, but he does it very well. So this issue just shows basically Steel's in it too, which is kind of cool. So this is Steel going out to Superman, trying to talk to him and trying to get him to fly off into space, go to the moon, and he wants to put him in his Steel stuff to try and stop the conversion and figure out what's going on. And then General Lane attacks and sends Metallo after him. And most of the issues a big fight scene, and it's done really well. I usually don't. Issues that are all fighting are kind of hit or miss for me, but the dialogue going through and everything, and you hear Superman's thoughts while everything's going on. It's really cool. So this was another good issue in this And for a DC event or crossover, this is definitely one of the better ones.
Good to hear.
Yeah. And so, I mean, yeah, like this is, as far as I can tell, this is going all the way through August. So it's, there's a lot more material in here to come. And no more Lobdell, which is awesome. And it's kind of great because they keep advertising, you know, Superman 32, where it's like, oh, the Dream Team creators. And even in Lobdell's book, you know, it's kind of like a screw you to him at the end of his own book. There's an ad for the next creators, like, oh, this is what you've been waiting for. So less Lobdell is good Lobdell. So that was my book for the week. I'll definitely be following this more. And if you're not reading Superman, read Action Comics. It's great. So other polls. So we missed last week. So why don't you, if there's anything that stood out from last week, let's go over that too. Paul?
All right, so for me, last week's standout was Trees, which I had been waiting for since I saw the first advertisement. It was written by Warren Ellis, art by Jason Howard, and phonographics lettering. Yeah, it's the first issue, and basically it's 10 years after these alien ships have arrived on Earth. They're all over the world, and they're basically really, really tall cylinders, and there's been no attempt like invasion or taking over or even communication. They're sitting there doing whatever it is they're doing, and they seem to be completely oblivious to the human race. Like, so it's basically as if, you know, if you go out into the woods and you're doing your thing and you happen to kick over an anthill, you know, you don't even notice, you don't even pay attention. And that's basically what they're doing, like, because a lot of these fell into or landed in like big cities, and you know, the book starts out in like the slums of Brazil, and all of a sudden, one of the ship or the tree that's in Rio de Janeiro just like lets out like vents like all of its waste, and basically like melts half the city. You know, it's like they're completely oblivious to the humans. So, but the story is so far is mostly focusing on how humanity has learned to kind of live with these structures and whatnot, how, you know, we've just kind of accepted that they're there and kind of gone on with our lives, but not kind of post-apocalyptic. You know, obviously this had a huge disruption of the society. So, I mean, it's not like scorched earth or anything like that, but, you know.
Semi-apocalyptic?
Semi-apocalyptic, yeah. I mean, because, like, when they landed, they're enormous. So they destroyed large parts of the cities to begin with. And then you've got, you know, the issues of them doing things like, you know, when they vent their waste and, you know, wipe out, you know, half a city, things like that. So it's an interesting premise, and I'm definitely going to stick with it, at least for the first 5 issues of the first arc, see how it goes. But it's off to a very strong start, and I absolutely recommend it. It's from Image, so there you have it.
Yeah, that book was awesome, and basically, like, I love that it's just a big sci-fi intro scene. You know, there's a big sense of foreboding over the whole issue, and you're just like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. And this whole thing is like, now it's like, you know, you're just like the characters. You're like, I want to see inside this ship. I want to know why these things are here. I want to know what these aliens look like.
And I really enjoyed the scene, like whatever, some politician or the guy that wants to be mayor, and his advisor's like, you gotta have a trees policy. You can't just ignore it. Like, it's just, I don't know, just something about that. It was kind of funny, kind of like, oh yeah, you know, gotta have a stance on these things. I'll definitely be following this. Warren Ellis has been on a roll lately. He's got some good books out. There's another one too. I don't remember it. I'm gonna have to go check that out now too, because he's also doing Moon Knight, which has been amazing.
Yeah.
for completely different reasons. But yeah.
Yeah.
So what else you pull from this week?
All right, so from this week, sorry, let me back up here. All right, so this week I pulled Aquaman and the Others, issue number 3. I mean, it's a decent story, it's decent art, but it's just decent. You know what I mean? And at $4 a pop, it needs to be a little bit more than decent. So I'm gonna let this arc finish out, and then I'll probably just go ahead and drop the series unless something significantly improves.
Gotcha.
Caliban number 3. This continues to be really cool. This issue was a little bit more straight up like horror kind of tropes. You know, like you got the crazed crew member is now killing people, whereas I liked it better before when it's like just kind of like this mystery. You know, there's a lot of just like, what is this other ship? What are these creatures in it? Where did it come from? Sort of thing. So I hope it gets kind of back to that kind of claustrophobic feel. Sarah, this is my first suggestion for you. Caliban's good too. I mean, that's a recommendation. But Dream Police, this is issue number 2, and I mean, like each issue like really delivers a lot of story. There's literally there's 3 points in this issue where I thought, okay, this is the cliffhanger ending. It's it's gonna be over. It's like, nope, kept going and going and going, and I loved it. It's very kind of trippy, like in the vein of like Drumheller, but not nearly quite so bad. Because it takes place in the dreamscape, and it's a really interesting take on the hard-boiled cop story, and it's well written. The art's decent, but the ideas and whatnot are really interesting. It's like something I haven't seen before in like speculative fiction. And the other recommendation for you, Sarah, and everybody else, is Suicide Risk. Seriously, people, you guys need to start reading this book. This book should be mentioned in the same breath as like Saga and East of West. This is a really, really good book, and like I said, they've completely taken this like hard right turn that like when you go back, you can see like, okay, so like we understand where this is coming from. Like it wasn't like it was totally earned. It wasn't like they just woke up one day and said, well, let's do something else. No, this is where it was going all along. It's really awesome. Sorry. And Batman Eternal number 9, the art in this was shit. That's the problem with the weekly comic. And Aquaman number 31, which was decent. So that was it.
Okay.
This week.
All right. Well, Sarah went to go turn off her dishwasher because it's getting a little background noise. So Aaron, why don't you go ahead and go? What was your anything from last week, and anything else from this week?
For the sake of time, I'll just talk about what I was going to read last week, which was another intellectual property comic book, Nightbreed from Boom. It's another one that they say it was written by Clive Barker, but no, he wrote the original. But it was written by Mark and Draco, and the art was done by Peter Kowalski. This one was actually good. It's basically just kind of like a origin story of how everybody came to Midian. And the first issue is the story of the Pelquin and Lilac. Pelquin was the red devil-looking guy with the skin dreads that was just total badass, and Lilac was the kind of porcupine lady, the one that got stuck in jail with Boone. Any of you guys ever seen Nightbreed?
I have.
No. Yeah. I figured you had, Paul. But yeah, it's a great freaking movie. It's one of my absolute favorite horror stories ever. It was the first Clive Barker book I ever read, which was C.O.W.L. And it's just the story of this group of this town, Midian, that's a town of monsters from around the world where they have, basically sanctuary. and it's kind of the ultimate in making the villains the good guys and sympathetic and all this kind of stuff. And this is actually really cool because, like I said, it's the origin stories, and you always wondered where these characters came from. And it looks like they're probably going to get pretty deep into it. They've done comic books on this before. They had like with the original release, they had a like 20 issue run comic it started all right, but kind of petered out. But this one, I think this will be cool. I'll actually end up picking this one up until it really pisses me off, which will probably happen. So far, it's pretty cool. They're gonna do it looks like they're gonna do the stories for the two that they're doing now, which they just started doing. The origin story for the Moonface guy, which I can't remember his name, and the werewolf with the kid, which were two of the werewolf mom and daughter were like actually incredibly empathetic characters. They actually added a huge human touch to the whole thing and made it really, really cool. Yeah, if you're into horror, if you know what Nightbreed is, if you don't know what Nightbreed is, watch the movie, read C.O.W.L. If you know what they are, this is going to be a pretty interesting read. The art's really good too. So
great. Sarah, anything from last week that we missed?
Thank you. I was about to do that. No, not so much. Actually, I guess last week was a pretty good week to not have anything going on because my pull box was empty, as was this week. And yeah, I've just been poaching my wife's pull box. The only other thing she had this week was Miles Morales, the Ultimate Spider-Man. And it was pretty good. I mean, I enjoyed it. Just read it actually during the course of the Communicast, flipping through. And I'm excited that Ultimate Kate Bishop is a thing. And Miles continues to be an absolute cutie. Brian Michael Bendis continues to be an amazing writer. And
Lois paused Sarah's video.
Oh.
There we go.
wait, what?
Yeah, you stopped for a second there.
Are you kidding?
You said Brian Michael Bendis continues to be a great writer, and then you just kind of held this pose like you were voguing.
Oh, okay, that wasn't much then. You know, I give up today. But no, David Marquez on the art is also incredible. I love his everything. It's amazing art on this series, and I definitely recommend it.
Cool. Yeah, I'm also picking up that one. I'm looking forward to reading that issue. So for me, last week I also read Trees, and that was great. Definitely wanted to make sure we covered that. The other one that debuted last week from Image is C.O.W.L #1. This is the new creator-owned comic from Kyle Higgins, who I've talked about plenty of times in the past. He was doing Nightwing. He's doing Batman Beyond. So this comic, C.O.W.L, it's an acronym for the Chicago Organized Workers League. Takes place back in like an imagined 60s where superheroes are unionized, they work with the police, and it's basically following this team of superheroes as they're kind of finishing up cleaning up Chicago. The first issue, they take out the last of like the big bad guys, and so there's this. It kind of works as a great intro to the team, and and like kind of like a good one-shot fight, and then it's like, okay, so now where do they go now that they kind of have nothing left to do? It feels kind of Mad Men-ish and kind of like Watchmen too. because it's another one of those like superhero deconstruction stories, and they're gonna get those comparisons to Watchmen. But I mean, it feels like it too. Now the other good thing about it is the art, which I have to look up because I lost the I think it's not something Reese, Rod Reese maybe. Anyways, it looks kind of like watercolor painted. It's really cool. Definitely check it out. He does his own, penciling inks, everything, and I believe it's Ivan Reese's brother, who usually inks. So this is the first time he's doing full art on a book, and yeah, it's really good. And I've also forgot to mention it's co-written by Alex Siegel, so it's not just Kyle Higgins. So yeah, I'll definitely be checking this out, and it's also kind of because Kyle Higgins was a director, so for like I guess a student film, he did a film called The League, and this series is kind of based on the same premise as that, I guess. I bought it. It's like $3 on Amazon. I picked it up, but I haven't had a chance to watch it, so I'm going to be checking that out as well. For this week, like I mentioned, Miles Morales, also The Wake. Really looking forward to a couple Marvel books. Original Sin #3. I've been reading on Twitter that there's some big twist coming out, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on with that. And then also Cyclops #2. The first issue was really great. It's just a lot of fun space pirate adventure, and so I'm looking forward to seeing where Greg Rucka takes that. So that was it for my polls. You can, in the Google Plus comic book community, every week we have CBC poll box, hashtag CBC poll box, where you can post your poll list, talk about this week's books. Definitely join in. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, that does it for this week's books. We have quite a bit of news to go over since we missed a week. I think we'll go over the first bit of major news from last week, and that's all the Ant-Man stuff. Were you guys following this movie at all?
Yeah, I was following it in as much as it's comic book related and Marvel, but I mean it's not one that I was particularly looking forward to. The idea of Ant-Man has never appealed to me. Although the footage that they showed for like the test footage was actually pretty cool. So,
are you guys familiar with Edgar Wright at all? Because I think that's the most important part.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No,
So-
not really.
No, so Scott Pilgrim, the Simon Pegg movies.
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead.
Okay, well, evidently I am.
Yeah, so that's definitely, and this guy's been on it since I want to say I think it was 2006. They said, so this is crazy. He hasn't really, nobody knows for sure, but the consensus is that Marvel didn't want to go quite the direction that Wright did, and Wright wasn't happy with the rewrites, so he walked away, which is a huge bummer. But I mean, this is I want to say this is one of the first like kind of missteps from Marvel, like where we might not have complete confidence in them.
Right.
And then it also came out this week that they were looking at Adam McKay to direct, which he ended up not taking the job, which I'm actually really glad. Adam McKay works a lot with Will Ferrell, so he did like Anchorman and a couple other things like that. So it really seems like they're trying to do a comedy thing, but I don't know that I haven't seen any action stuff from Adam McKay, so yeah, I'm glad that he ended up not taking it.
I mean, to be fair, Tommy Gunn Tommy Gunn did Guardians of the Galaxy. And he is like one of the kings of
James
these
Gunn.
movies. Or James Gunn, sorry, not
Yeah.
Tommy Gunn. Different movies. Same caliber, though. Actually, I mean, James Gunn, he's a freaking trauma mainstay, and he's doing this big budget sci-fi movie. So,
Yeah, Marvel has done a good job with taking directors you wouldn't expect. Like I never would have expected Kenneth Branagh to direct a comic book movie. So they're pretty good with getting like these directors and giving them a shot on something like so that they can show us something new. So, but either way, it's a shame to see Edgar Wright go. I'll be interested to see where it goes from here.
Definitely.
yeah. I mean, I'm actually really interested in the Ant-Man movie because I read Ant-Man when I was a kid, and I always thought it would make a great science fiction story. You know, it's good science fiction.
Yeah, I was never into Ant-Man, but I was definitely interested in seeing Edgar Wright's take on it. But I'm sure we'll still get an entertaining movie. So hopefully it all works out.
Sorry, Justin.
So the next bit of news, that was the big thing from last week. The next bit of news, which is kind of cool, is we're going to get a new Sabrina comic from Archie that's going to kind of spin off of the Afterlife with Archie take. It's going to be a horror series. Seemed like Aaron, you seemed kind of excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you've read The Afterlife with Archie's, you kind of know how she is in this how she is in this universe, and she's actually pretty cool. I mean, she's the one who started the freaking zombie apocalypse. Just because she was being nice to Archie. That happens in the first 3 pages of the comic, so I didn't spoil anything for anybody.
Right.
And it's the way that they handled Afterlife with Archie. It's still got that whole sweet, innocent Archie thing, but it's got a solid horror story too. And if they do that with Sabrina, it's gonna be freaking great. It's probably gonna be just as good because zombies.
I'll definitely give it a try.
Probably should. It's gonna be good. I think it'll be good.
That, and they said it's going to have all of her regular supporting cast too. So it's going to have the cat and the ants and all that stuff.
Yeah, and
whoever survives the zombie apocalypse.
Well, they kind of got insulated from it.
Right.
They kind of got insulated from it, so they're not really. Yeah, it kind of moved on after them, as far as I remember. So, yeah. But hopefully they talk about their place in this a little bit more, because that'll be cool.
Yeah. Sarah, you any interest in this from you?
Well, I was pretty hardcore into Sabrina the Teenage Witch when I was a little girl, like anything I could find. The children's cartoon, the Melissa Joan Hart show, the Archie's comics. Yeah. No, it was pretty big for me. One of the first big fights I can remember is because my mother was trying to censor the things I brought home from the library, and one of them was a novelization of an episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and it had witchcraft in it, so of course I couldn't have it, but I was going to fight for that one. But no, I feel like, I don't know what to expect from this. I have not been reading Afterlife with Archie. This could be a very cool thing. I just feel like I hear Sabrina and horror theme in the same sentence, and I'm like, this is not what this has always been about for me. This is something weird and different, and I don't know if I'm going to like it. I mean, if it still has some of the main staples, like Salem being incredibly snarky and well-written, and it still has kind of the Buffy-esque sort of feel when she's at high school and doing her thing. I mean, that was a big thing that the show is about. It was one of those shows where it's like, yeah, I have magic powers and I'm kind of a superhero and weird shit happens around me, but at the same time, I'm a kid, I'm a person, and I'm gonna, fight for that. And I really like that trope. And I feel like if they try to do away with that in favor of making her more grimdark and serious, and I don't know, I just feel like if you introduce too much gore, it detracts from what the series has always been about. So I have no idea what to expect.
That's kind of the nice thing about Afterlife with Archie is they found a balance between the two things. There's horror elements, but it's still definitely Archie in the Archie world.
Yeah, and how they set Sabrina up, she still had that whole teenager,
I'll check into
reluctant teenage witch thing going on, and it was actually really funny because within the handful of pages that she was in the first episode or first issue, they really set her up and her relationship up with the other witches. It's not like you had said off of this that it was going to be like Emily Strange. And the funny thing is she's actually kind of they set her up to be like Sabrina was, because I watch Sabrina a lot. My daughter loves Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but they set her up to be like that, and I think it'll be interesting to see if they do keep it like that, or if they do a really crappy grim dark kind of a thing, it will ruin it. But I don't think they will. Considering how they treated Afterlife with Archie, I don't think they will.
Right. I think they. I mean, it's the same writer. I feel like they're going to do the similar things because they had, so much success with it.
Alright, sounds fair.
Well, you can tell though, these were written with reverence, though. These weren't just written just to throw horror elements into that universe. They were written with reverence. They were written because the people that are involved wanted to throw them into they wanted to suppose these situations, and it's not written by somebody who doesn't care, So I think you should at least give it a shot, because I think or wait for somebody else to give it a shot and tell you that it isn't all grim dark.
I'll probably look into I'll probably look into the first few issues just because all the Kevin Keller stuff and like with Archie, I'm willing to trust Archie Comics pretty far in being respectful towards their characters and in general and the readership. So I guess we'll just have to see.
All right. Yeah, I'll definitely be picking up at least the first, issue or two. Yeah. So the next.
Oh, by
next
the way,
item.
I call dibs on that one when it does come out.
I figured. Next item. We got a debut date for, I don't remember what it was, but anyways, we got Constantine is coming to NBC for sure in October. I don't remember the exact date, but
October 24th.
Yeah, it was just kind of significant because it's not until October.
Yeah.
As we talked about, I think 2 weeks ago, it's there. It looks. It's the fall TV landscape is going to be pretty crowded with comic book shows.
Yeah.
So maybe NBC is just trying to wait to see how it shakes out. Do you think this will help it or hurt it?
It's coming. It's a kind of a horror-based show. It'll be coming in right around the time everybody's gearing up for Halloween, so that might help.
Yeah, there's a glut of. That's when all the horror movies come out. That's when all the horror themed stuff tends to come out. So it actually does. It makes sense.
I'm afraid I don't know much from TV scheduling and marketing dynamics, but I don't know. Sorry.
Sorry, I'm trying to look up to see when Hannibal debuted, because from what I remember, it was around the same time. I don't think it debuted right when all the other shows came out. Let's see here.
They've been doing a lot of interesting things with scheduling, like they don't have the sweeps week thing anymore, all that kind of crap. They just kind of put things out whenever it's kind of there's a gap.
And that's the influence of cable right there.
Hannibal is a spring show, so
yeah.
It's different time period. So, anyways, I think it's good to put it during Halloween though.
Yep.
Next thing, have you guys been reading up on all the Fantastic Four drama coming from Marvel?
Are you talking about the whole rumor that they're gonna cancel the books so that they won't be helping the Fox movie?
Right. So Bleeding Cool's got there a bunch of sources saying that and actually some of this is confirmed by CVR as well, that Marvel is downplaying Fantastic Four stuff. So basically saying don't include Fantastic Four in crossovers, don't include Fantastic Four characters in company posters, and Bleeding Cool kind of made the jump saying, oh, well, that probably means they're going to cancel the series. And this is all allegedly in an effort to kind of spite Fox for having the movie property. By Marvel's their thinking is that they're giving them free advertising for their movies and not Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing kind of goes for X-Men, but nobody would dare do that to X-Men.
Or
Fantastic
Spider-Man.
Fantastic Four is very iconic. However, they're not high selling, so it's kind of like an easy way to do it. I could definitely see that, and they say it's down to one guy, this Isaac Perlmutter, who's the CEO of Marvel Comics, and he's the one closely linked to Disney. So he's the big business guy that's apparently behind all this. I could definitely see all that. However, I don't see them actually canceling a comic book title.
Yeah. Also, yeah, io9.com had a big takedown of this whole rumor, and I completely agree with them. And it just doesn't make sense. It really, honestly, doesn't make sense. There were some artists that like posted like on Twitter too, like saying like, I can't believe people actually believe this stuff. For example, it's like, you know, the comic books are not advertising for the movies. Has been frequently
Right.
discussed. The moviegoers are generally, there's far more moviegoers than there are the comic book readers. Like there's like 90% of the movie-going crowd, the people who are going to see these films, do not read comics, have never read comics, will not ever read comics. Somebody did the math, and they're saying like, you know, if they took like the last issue of the Fantastic Four that was like put out, like it sold like 500,000 copies. So even if like, or like something like that, like 300,000 copies. But anyway, the math was just all off. Like even if they didn't get just the Fantastic Four readers, it would not be a dent in what they're expecting to make for this film. And then also the film advertised the comics, so it behooves Marvel to have comic books out, you know, so those people who do go see the film and like get excited about the comics will have something to go and buy. So it's just, yeah, and plus, you know, like I said, Marvel's got there's X-Men and Spider-Man, and they're not pulling any of those. So
I think that's a big difference between that's a huge gap between the mentality of like executives and everybody else. I mean, executives will do stuff like that. You know, they absolutely will. I don't think they'd actually cancel it, because that would be even if it's not one of the big titles, it will still it'd be a huge blow, because it was it's one of the originals, you know.
yeah.
But I would definitely not put it past them to, you know, to cut it down as much as possible without pissing off their core audience, just to spite the movies.
Or well, see, the other thing too, it could be that they're actually going to go the other direction. They're like bringing it down like temporarily so they can retool it to be more in line with the movies. Like, you know, they'll come out with like the new Fantastic Four #1, and it'll look more like the people for the movie.
Well, I think they would do that if they got the rights to it.
Right.
I mean,
they've pretty much done that with their other stuff, but
Yeah.
not if they don't have the actual rights to it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a play to make to kind of, you know, the movie. Nobody will go see the movies now. I mean, after the last two movies, I won't even go see those movies, and I freaking love Fantastic Four. And you know, I mean, it's probably a play to try to, you know, cut them off and just be like, dude, you want to sell it to us? It's worth it to sell it to us, because you know, and they'll do it right. I mean, they would probably end up doing it right, and they would end up making a mint, because the Fantastic Four is a freaking awesome group.
Yeah, I think them in the hands of Marvel, because Marvel wouldn't try and do, you know, grim and gritty and whatever. You know, they would. I would really like to see that
They'd
back on
embrace
Marvel.
the weirdness.
Mhm.
Yes, for sure.
A Marvel movie with an Nihilus. Come on, that would be awesome. They go into the
Negative zone.
the negative zone. Hell yes, that would be awesome. That would be amazing. I would be there.
Definitely. So, speaking of movies, we're running a little low on time, so I'm going to skip some of the other stuff because I wanted to talk about this. We didn't get a chance to go over Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
Aaron, did you get out to see it yet?
I've been moving. No, I have
Yeah.
not. I have not. And not only that, it's I don't know. I
It's
kind of
really
wanted to
good.
see it. Yeah.
Aaron's waiting for it to come out on VHS.
I wish I had a VHS player, man.
Yeah,
I do
seriously.
not. VCRs were such a hassle. But anyway, like, this movie was so good. What I know Aaron's or not Aaron's, getting names mixed up all over the place tonight. Paul and Sarah, you guys went and saw it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
It was definitely a good movie. It was definitely, I would say, right up there with X2 as like one of the best X-Men movies to date. I truly enjoyed it. It was well worth the money. I was really surprised they didn't do it in IMAX, but at the same time now, it's like I couldn't help but wondering, like the whole time we were watching, I was like, I wonder how Marvel would have handled this. I wonder how this would have looked if it had come out from Marvel Studios, because it's like still, Fox doesn't seem to be respecting the properties. It's like they don't respect the X-Men. They don't respect these characters. They keep throwing people in just so that they can have because they need this cool power. They need that cool power. Quicksilver was only in there because they needed somebody to do the breakout. So they figured out how they could do the breakout.
That was one of the best parts of the movie, that would admit it.
Seriously, that part where he takes down all the guards and police, I mean, that's probably one of the best scenes of the year right there.
Yeah. And then it was a great scene, but it's that's why Sunspot, who I don't think he even gets a single line. He was just thrown in there. He's got a cool looking power, and
my babies.
And how many times have they done different ways that they've done Cyclops now? You know what I mean? It's like there's no continuity to any of this stuff, and it's like people show up at different points in time, at different ages. Like the whole Emma Frost thing is just because, oh well, we want Emma Frost here, and we want Cyclops here, and we want just because they have a full power, or just because the fans have been clamoring to see them. It's like they need to wipe the slate clean, which hopefully this movie does, and say, okay, this is how old Emma Frost is. There will not be another Emma Frost, 20 years from now, who is a teenager. Emma Frost was an adult, and I think she's dead, and just leave it at that. Stop just throwing people in there just for the hell of it. These are people with a lot of history. Like Colossus is a major X-Men character. He should not be in there with no speaking lines. He should be an integral part of any storyline that he's going to be in.
Especially this one.
Yeah, I know there was a lot of hype about Bishop being in this movie, and they kept saying that Bishop was going to be some kind of big part of it, and he got no lines, and there was literally no point to him being there.
I mean, none of the people in the future really got many lines besides, I guess, Kitty.
Well, Kitty, Storm,
and even then, it's
Professor X and Magneto. But yeah, it was the whole point. It's like they should have, it should have been, longer or whatever. But all these people, super iconic people. You can't just throw them in there.
I think.
Oh, I blame Wolverine. Any X-Men movie is basically going to be Wolverine and his backup dancers, the X-Men, because they get it into their head. Wolverine sells. Wolverine sells. Wolverine will be headlining in every X movie we do. And it crowds out every other character. Just like in this one, they had to cut so much Kitty to make room for more Wolverine.
But
he kind of does sell.
He does sell, and Hugh Jackman does a good job as him. But in reality, I mean, Wolverine
I'm so ready
for being an X-Men movie, there was probably less Wolverine in this movie than there was in any of the other ones with him in it.
Well,
out of the
original. As the plot device.
Right. I just say, he wasn't in this all that much for, being Wolverine, They
could have been a lot of other people, though. Like, how many people have healing factors?
I mean, the way that they chose to... Well, they haven't established anybody else for the healing factor, though, besides Deadpool, which let's just not speak of that.
Or Sabretooth.
That would have been an awesome
movie,
though,
two different ways, and they've done
Days of Future Past with Deadpool.
Yeah. What they need to do is they need to establish a team. Like, okay, this is our X-Men team. This is our cinematic X-Men team, and leave it there. You know, instead of like, we've got a couple of people
Well,
here,
I think
and we're throwing these random other people in the background.
I think this is starting that. I think this was, I think this was Bryan Singer meshing the two universes, saying "screw you" to Brett Ratner by retconning X-Men 3, yes, and then kind of establishing, Beast and Professor X as like, the base for whatever's going to come after this. So I think the next movie will be kind of like a fresh start, but for the young X-Men.
Right. Yeah, it'll be the.
I'm pretty sure the next movie is going to have Mark Millar as a consultant, so good luck with that.
Well, as long as he's just consultant, and actually, but to be fair, for being Mark Millar, he's lately has been very not Mark Millery. If you've read any of his, you probably haven't, but like any of the books he has come out with in the past year are very un-Millery.
Maybe he's in a new phase in his career.
I'm gonna have to take
Like
a look for that.
he really is. Like if you read reviews of like what's it, Jupiter Rising, whatever that's called, MPH, Starlight, his new creator-owned stuff, pretty much every review is like, oh, didn't expect this from Mark Millar.
Oh, I get it. So when it's his own characters, everyone is not a satire of themselves and does not have horrible, gratuitous things happen to them. Like that one time he raped 60% of the Authority.
All I'm saying is that he could have turned over a new leaf.
Never forget.
Sarah holds a grudge.
Yeah.
Always.
So my question is the thing that I would.
Yeah, I feel like this, back to the movie, I feel like one of... Am I on a major lag here?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. Why don't we let
Okay.
Aaron finish his thought?
Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to know
Yeah.
if Nimrod was going to be in this, because I thought Nimrod was the stupidest thing ever.
What, in the Days of Future Past?
Yeah.
No,
They-
he's not in it.
Yeah,
He's
no.
not in it
I mean,
yet.
it's very different from the actual comic book. I mean,
Yeah.
the only thing that they really took from it is that an X-Men goes in the past to stop somebody from being killed. That's
And-
about the extent of the similarities
Well,
between
and-
that and the comic book.
And the Sentinels.
Well, I mean, Nimrod was the Sentinel. He was the Terminator Sentinel from the future.
Right.
I mean, but he was dumb.
Yeah.
He looked like an 80s video game character. Like, on the screen.
Yeah, it's just the basic concept of Days of Future Past. I mean, the characters are all pretty much different.
Yeah.
So yeah, no Nimrod. So Sarah, what were you gonna say?
Oh, well, I was just, it occurs to me overall, like when we were sitting down and we're talking about the movie, it's the kind of thing where we're all like, yeah, we really enjoyed it. Aaron, I'm sure you'll like it more or less. It's really, really entertaining, but it's one of those movies where when you sit down and talk about it, there's so many plot holes and weird issues and casting drama and this is how it should have been, this is who would have done it better, and it's like, it's entertaining when you're watching it, but at the same time it's got a lot of problems. But it's still entertaining, but it's got problems.
I pretty much,
Don't
I
think
mean,
about it too much.
yeah, it definitely had problems. I think it sounds like I liked it a lot more than you guys did. I don't-
definitely liked it.
I'm
don't
not-
get me wrong.
Oh, no,
I'm
it
not
was
a
great.
I'm not a
That's
stickler
the
for
point. It's
continuity.
very
and,
enjoyable.
Yeah, I'm not so much of a stickler for continuity and stuff and of the original characters. So I really loved it, and I thought, but yeah, there's definitely still some continuity things that are kind of funky in there, but I thought they handled it as best they could.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're all fans of the Marvel, of the Marvel movies, then you can't really be a stickler for continuity.
Right.
So,
Huh. Yeah.
All right. Any other last thoughts on the movie?
No.
You guys,
It was
did you
It was a good movie.
stay for the credits?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we were both sadly, bad geeks. Like, who the hell is that? I had a pretty good idea because I know that, like, what the next movie's bad guy's supposed to be.
They
So
didn't
it
draw
must be.
the lips.
Is
Yeah,
it Shield?
I definitely
What,
leaned over and
Apocalypse?
said, "Who is
Yeah.
that woman?"
yeah.
It's probably Apocalypse. I haven't
No,
even seen
it
it, even
is.
though it's Apocalypse.
It's Apocalypse. Like, it's already out that that's the next movie. But how could they not draw the lips on him? Like, really?
Yeah.
Because it's really silly looking.
Just saying, dude looks like a lady.
I mean, yeah, basically the only thing. Oh, I guess what they're chanting. But then, like, he has blue lips, but it's like, come on, just draw the weird machine-looking things on him.
Oh yeah, he looks silly.
Oh, you looked it up?
Yeah, he looks totally silly.
Yeah. So hopefully the actual costume design that they come up with is better. Oh, actually, one more thing. That reminds me. What did you guys think of the Sentinel design? Because I've seen a lot of people complaining about that online.
I thought it was okay. They're scary. They're neat looking, and they certainly, obviously, don't look like the Sentinels in the comics, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I wasn't like married to the comic book version, so I thought they did a good job of it.
What about you, Sarah?
Yeah, in my opinion, killer robots are killer robots are killer robots.
Yeah, I really liked the future ones.
Did anyone hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we did. I really liked the future ones. The ones that were in the 70s or whatever time period it was, I thought were way too modern looking. So that was kind of weird, but yeah, I liked them. So, thumbs up all around pretty much for that movie.
Absolutely.
Some other news came out. I don't remember the exact number, but it's now officially the highest grossing X-Men movie, which it's not a huge surprise or anything. Yeah. Definite recommendation. Everyone should see it. And the best part about this is that there's no more X-Men Last Stand. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess
everyone's been reblogging pictures of their empty X3 DVD boxes lately.
I have every other X-Men movie. I did not buy that one because screw that movie and screw Brett Ratner.
Yeah, I have it because OCD.
I couldn't bring myself even to be a completionist.
Yeah.
I own Batman and Robin, and I don't even own X-Men Last Stand.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's okay because that's like crack,
Yeah.
All right, I think that about does it for this week. The Communicast home on the web is #Communicast on Google+, youtube.com/comicbookcommunicast, and cbcpodcast.tumblr.com. Find all our episodes. Greatly appreciate any shares. Leave us comments, like us, tweet us, whatever. Or we're not on Facebook, so don't like us.
Well, you can put the
see if we care
button right down there on YouTube.
Oh yeah, you can share us.
Subscribe button, which I think is like over here or over there on YouTube. You can do that.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would be cool.
We would appreciate it.
Yes. Yep. So that's about it. Thank you for joining us, and have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.